Bubbly Steve is available for pre-order at shopclownfish.com. That's shopclownfish.com. You've got less than a month to pre-order this 15-inch plushie. Check them out. No Joe.
No Joe.
No Joe. Mm-hmm. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And Snake Eyes bombed at the box office. I forgot it was even coming out.
Well, we had a lot going on.
We did have a lot going on this weekend. This was not a good weekend for 80s franchises.
I was going to say, the other 80s franchise, we were dealing with that one too. Surprise to no one, Snake Eyes didn't do great.
Yeah, it did not get good critical reviews, and it's interesting, Rotten Tomatoes, the audience scores are not that terrible, but everyone I've talked to that has seen the movie, and I have not seen the movie.
No, we haven't got to see it. We were doing other stuff.
Nobody has seen the movie, apparently. But the people that I know that have, that said, hey, this is what the movie's basically about, said, no, this is not a Snake Eyes movie for sure. It's barely a G.I. Joe movie. It's like a really generic action film, and Snake Eyes only shows up as himself in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Himself in quotes.
Himself in quotes, which we said was going to happen. We're like, wait, they're hiring a face guy. They're hiring Henry Golding. I guarantee he's going to talk through the whole damn movie, which he does. The origin is nothing like the comics.
Where's my tick box when we're right? I gotta go check it again.
Yeah, so we kind of called this was going to be dead on arrival. And same with Paramount. They want to go out and reboot G.I. Joe as a live action series on, I think it was Amazon, but they want it to star Lady J. It's not even Scarlet. It's
of course they do. Of course they do.
We can't just make a G.I. Joe movie. You know, if it's problematic current year, set the damn movie in the 1980s.
It doesn't matter.
So it can be authentic.
To get around the problematic current years, we'll put the woman, it will make the woman the main character.
Yeah.
And of course it won't be Scarlet because that's a redhead and we have problems with the redheads. So I'm like, just stop this shit. No one wants to see this. No one wants to see this at all. They would like to see a G.I. Joe show with the characters from the cartoon and they like an ensemble cast, like they flipping always were. That's what they watch. They don't want to see a Lady J G.I. Joe show.
No.
Who is this fucking for?
Nobody.
Sorry.
Well, again, This is another 80s franchise coming back in Pet Sematary zombie mode. With major alterations to what made the character, and the story, and audiences rejected it. The fandom rejected it. Of course they did. Why is this so hard? Why is it so hard for Hollywood to understand when people go to see a movie or watch TV show or play a video game and it's an existing franchise, they have certain expectations. You know, the bare minimum is that the characters be themselves.
And
the
you know
bare
what?
minimum.
The reason the franchises have lasted as long as they have is because if you want that fan base that supported it. You can't go in and change everything.
No.
And then expect them to get and then say, oh, it's all because of man babies. Oh my God, if I hear that one more time, they're going to have to surgically remove my foot from your ass because I am so damn tired of hearing it.
Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. I think we're 218,000.
I don't know. I lost track.
This has been a crazy weekend. Apparently,
it's been a really crazy weekend.
Apparently, those 5,000 or 10,000 people complaining about Kevin Smith, they all came to our channel and subscribed.
Yeah, even though I love it on not just our channel, a bunch of channels covering it. There's a bunch of channels that aren't even pop culture channels covering it, and a lot of them have more than 5,000 to 10,000 upvotes about it. So I guess that means that Kevin Smith lied about that too. Shocker. Anyway,
I think dealing with the Kevin Smith situation in regards to G.I. Joe is he kind of made himself an easy target for all the frustration. And it's not just Masters of the Universe. It's so many fandoms of so many classic franchises that feel like Hollywood is not only not listening to them, but openly mocking them when they make major changes to existing franchises. So when you've got somebody out there basically saying, we don't give a shit, man, babies, if you're upset, we got your money, we don't care.
No, they don't get the money. And that's the thing. And then when it fails, they yell and scream that it's misogyny and istophobia that's keeping it down. Maybe if you just did a show, if you're basing on an old IP that was like the IP, you would have done better. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. Maybe make new things. There's a thought. Make new stuff. If you're going to bank on old stuff, then don't change it. Make a new story with the characters being what they were. and or not because you have these student mandates in place. They don't know the damn mandates. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, this is definitely stifling creativity. Not that there was much of that to go around in Hollywood anymore.
Gen Xers don't give a shit about your feelings.
We don't care. We really don't.
You don't care about ours.
No, we're moving on. But yeah, the review's not good. And in some cases, you get a movie that gets kind of review bombed by the critics because the audiences really like it.
Oh, no, that's not review bombing.
Oh, okay.
It only works one way.
That's true. In this case, again, I'm really scratching my head as to the audience score because I know several.
I haven't heard one person say it was good.
Yeah, I haven't heard a single person say it's good. I guess sort of maybe if you go into it not knowing anything about G.I. Joe or not having any expectations other than like a kung fu movie, maybe it's okay, it's passable. But even then, people said it's boring, it's slow, it's joyless, it's stiff, and
well, you know what this means, right? The critics hate Asian people.
Oh my god!
Because that's what they did. They looked at Snake Eyes, and who was not a character who was Asian, by the way. Blonde hair, blue-eyed white guy who the creator later backpedaled and changed his story. Before he said he did it on purpose. Now, because Hollywood being the stereotypical, shallow, narcissistic assets they are, that we can't have Snake Eyes. We know what it was. It was we need a character. We need some characters that aren't white. What should we use? Snake Eyes. Oh, Snake Eyes. There's an Asian guy in G.I. Joe. What was his name? Snake Eyes. And then they looked into it. Oh shit, he's white. Well, that's problematic. So now he's Asian, and if you don't like it, it's because you hate Asian people. So you know what? It failed. So I guess everybody who didn't like it, including the critics, hate Asian people.
This is so funny. So this is Henry Golding defending. He's like, oh, it's rubbish, because he's like, just ignore the casting, choice of, my being Asian or whatever. It's rubbish. We're playing characters, not their background. Such a big deal was made about getting an Asian guy to play Snake Eyes when he wasn't in the comics. And beyond that, his background is nothing like it was in the comics.
So you're full of shit.
Changed everything. This is a completely different character.
So, and I love how they get mad about, they're saying about critical of the Shang-Chi casting. You know who's been calling that out the most? China. I mean, we did a video on it before, but the ones who hate the Shang-Chi casting the most and hate who they picked and hate all the stuff about it has been China. I'm not, just go look it up. I'm completely serious. There, if you want to be mad, so what, the Chinese people hate Asians?
That must be the case. Yeah, all these movies bombing in China. The Chinese, man, the Chinese are racist against Asians.
They don't give a two about your feelings.
Do they like the movie, yes or no? That's basically it.
They don't like the casting.
If they get to see the movie, because sometimes they never get to see the movie.
The comments on it have been predominantly negative on the trailer in China, and one of the things they keep saying is, who the heck is this ugly dude, and why did they cast him for Shang-Chi? And I'm not kidding. I'm not saying that being mean. That's what if you look at the translations, that's pretty much what they're saying. And they're like, he's very stereotypical. Why do Westerners think this is what Asian men are, Asian culture is? That's what the comments are. If you don't believe me, go look it up.
Yeah, so that's putting words into anyone's...
But no, it's all the Westerns. It's all us haters, us istophobic people who don't like it.
So yeah, Larry Hama, who created Snake Eyes as a scarred white Vietnam vet, and that was kind of a central part of the story.
And he said he did it on purpose.
It was on purpose because that was his story, was he was the outsider, and this is the thing. Like, I don't think you really can do a proper Snake Eyes origin story current year. I think if you would do a G.I. Joe movie, you would almost have to set it in the 1980s just to get things right. And Hollywood,
they won't do that though.
They're like, Hollywood's like, oh, we can't do that. That's ridiculous. They did it with Bumblebee, which pisses me off, by the way, because I took a lot of shit back in the day. I said, why don't you, because they're like, oh, we can't do Transformers with them turning into those models of cars because it was the 80s and Soundwave and all that. We can't do it. Then, after the last Bayformers movie fails, they bring out Bumblebee, which takes place in the 1980s.
Which is what we know the producer wanted to do in the first place, because, like I said, we joked we had issues as people bigger than Kevin Smith. We were dealing with the producer of Transformers movie way back when.
Oh, God, like 15 years ago.
We have a history of pissing these people off.
We do.
It's not even intentional.
It's not. You voice an opinion, and it gets traction, and you piss people off. Anyway. No
one else has the balls to voice the opinion, apparently.
I think the only way you could do some of these Hasbro properties justice is set them in the 80s. I mean, it would be really cool. Personally, I think it'd be very cool to see a G.I. Joe set during Reagan era 1980s.
In the 80s, I mean, well, now not so much as moving to the 90s, but for the longest time, the 80s was like hot. Everybody wanted to do everything in the 80s, so it would have made
Stranger
sense.
Things, you know?
It would have made sense.
I don't know. Anyway.
But back to this. It was supposed to do, what, 30 million? They estimated it did like 15?
Yeah, and I just want to, before I go into this other article here, here's the original title. They changed it.
They changed it?
The original was Henry Golding calls critics of his Snake Eyes casting toxic. That was the original, and they forgot to change it in the metadata. Now they changed it.
Of course, because they're trying to, or they do it on purpose. So when you search toxic fans,
that could be too.
They're trying to. Here they go once again. It's toxic fans. But you know what? I want to point out again. Can I see the mouse for a minute? Those people who don't like it are toxic. It seems that was the critics, according to even though most people I've talked to didn't like it, according to Rotten Tomatoes. Then the critics are review bombing it. They must hate Asian people. Where are all the articles talking about how the critics hate Asian people and they're horrible fans who don't understand and are just man babies, don't get their own way.
Yeah, so now they're blaming the Delta variant.
Of course, COVID's the easy excuse.
Yeah, so there was also a Shyamalan movie that came out this weekend. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about anything Shyamalan does these days. It's
I think it outperformed G.I. Joe though.
Yeah, it did. That's crazy.
Yeah, it outperformed Snake Eyes.
Oh my God, it got beat by a Shyamalan movie. I thought it was G.I. Joe did.
No.
Holy shit, that's dire. That is dire. Okay, so here we go. 2 releases respecting the theatrical window, basically not coming out and streaming first. Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins, and Old, which is a Shyamalan movie, which I'm sure the twist is they're not actually old. Who knows? They're opening at the box office to blah results. Old got 16.5 million, and G.I. Joe got 13.35 million. But don't blame the distribution strategy. They're basically lackluster movies. They're shitty movies. They're opening roughly right in line with their estimates. No, I heard 30 million. I heard 30 million for Snake Eyes is what they were projecting.
But still, that's sad. 30 million opening is bad for something that's supposed to be like a tent pole.
If both of these movies were Cinema Score titles and completely missed their projections, it would be feasible to squarely blame the Delta variant.
Wait, Deadline's saying it's not Delta variant's fault.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. They're saying they're going to blame it on that, but that's not what happened.
It's just another lull at the summer pandemic box office. We've seen that before during May and June. So it's just like basically the movies are shitty and they failed because they were shitty movies that nobody was willing to go to the theater to go see. And there was like zero buzz for Snake Eyes. In fact, they had the really cheesy Robot Chicken trailer commercial I saw on Twitter.
Well, they were trying to do the knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. Yeah, Henry Golding. I'm like, that actually is parody. To have Snake Eyes take his mask off and be like, hey, I'm Henry Golding. I'm like, that would be a skit on Robot Chicken, but wouldn't be kind.
Right, because it's lame.
It's very lame. Like, oh my God, Snake Eyes is talking and it's Henry Golding.
And again, we want to point out that we did say they're going to probably have not put his mask on to the very end of the movie so he can make it all about himself.
Yep.
And FaceTime him talking and everything else. Look at a good actor I am. And at the end, he'll put the mask on. And from my understanding was they made Snake Eyes an asshole the whole way through. And they said he's kind of like the villain of his own movie.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Which also was not Snake Eyes.
No. I mean, there's so much, like, this is just...
And the fans didn't like it? You changed everything about the character and fans didn't like it? Are you shitting me? And then the other thing they're going to say is toxic fans don't like Asian men. I bet you might as well say. They're against Asians.
Oh, I'm sure. So, yeah, I mean, this doesn't surprise anyone. They can't get G.I. Joe right. They just cannot get... And it's so easy.
It's really not that hard, yeah.
It's not that hard.
Well, saying American Hero is problematic now, too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can't do G.I. Joe justice current year. You would almost... You're
not allowed to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just set in the 80s and you can be like, hey, this is...
No, it doesn't matter. They're not allowed to make this movie even if it's set in the 80s.
And this is why...
That would be a bad thing.
And this is why, He-Man gets sidelined in his own show, because all these 80s properties are problematic.
They're all, have to meet the new studio criteria, diversity checkboxes too.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's almost impossible...
Then stop doing it.
Then stop doing it. You're gonna... I mean, at this point, everybody's like, well, make something new. No, you have to make something new. Because you're not allowed to go back and strip mine these old properties anymore without making substantial changes. And at that point, you are alienating the core audience. And there's no point.
The only reason, because the only reason they want to do it is like, what do we have that has a lot of fans and we can bank on and make money on? Well, if you're banking on the old fans, but you take everything away from it that was like what the original show was, the old fans aren't going to like it. And you might get some new fans, but you're not going to have very many, as we saw with the She-Ra show. So I'm like, I don't know what you're thinking. Either you make it like the actual show and say, fuck the mandates, and sorry, Mom, and you make the show, or you just don't make those shows anymore and make new things.
In regards to Snake Eyes, Paramount and Hasbro haven't exploited the G.I. Joe property aggressively like Transformers. Why then should anyone care about Snake Eyes? If you're going to, because he was the most popular character. If you're going to reboot the franchise with a $110 million spin-off, best to make a movie which wins on all fronts, like a Marvel movie, and rises above fanboy kitschy IP.
All right, and you know what I love? They always say fanboy. Here's what pisses me off about that, too, and I'm sure a lot of you ladies will feel the same way. I am so tired that it's always fanboy, fanboy, fanboy. Because when I was a kid, the girls watched G.I. Joe, too. It was like a thing. It was like an event. They'd have the mini-series. They'd break it up into episodes each day. Everybody went home and watched it, boys and girls. And you know what? At recess, we play effing G.I. Joe. And I had the red hair, so I got to be Scarlet. And it was like the one time that actually the boys always wanted to be like, oh, let's go get her, she'll play. You know, because normally they're like, yeah, you know, whatever, you know, just, you know, forget her. But I always got to be Scarlet because I was only redhead. But the thing is, the girls would go home and watch it too. So we had a couple days to take turns being Lady J. You know, I mean, this fanboys, always blame on the fanboys, is a load of shit because first of all, it's disrespectful that you're kind of saying they're misogynistic, which is misogynistic in itself. And then because you're telling them that's only the boys who liked it, when there were a lot of girls who liked it too, and you just keep disregarding the women because it blows your narrative. Who are the misogynists here?
Yeah, I love this. So they're like, well, you know, G.I. Joe, yeah, it wasn't just the cartoon show and the toys. They actually had pretty decent comics. They did.
They did.
The comics were better than the cartoon show. The cartoon show was for a younger audience and they couldn't do as much. But the comics were excellent, which is why Larry Hama is held in such high regard. But they threw pretty much everything out, right? But yeah, just do that. But they're like, oh, it was during the Reagan era. Reagan. We can't.
So what's that have to do with the price of gas?
We can't do that. What's that have to do with the price of
I know,
gas?
right? Sorry.
It's trickling down.
It's an expression. But I'm just...
Gas was cheaper back then.
I'm like, this is stupid. Then don't make the damn movie. Problem solved. Let's go. I know. What do we have that's bankable? Oh, we got this G.I. Joe stuff. Okay, we can't do white guys. What do you got that's, not white? Or wasn't there a ninja in that? Great, let's go greenlight a Snake Eyes movie and after they greenlight it. Oh, shit, it's a blonde hair, blue-eyed guy. Okay, we got to change that. Oh, shit, everybody hates America right now and, China won't like this. We got to go change all that. Oh, shit. We got to make sure these women are more important than they were then. And then by the time you're done with it, it's just a name only and the costume only at the very end. Because it's not the same thing. And then they're like, come on, fans. Why don't the fans like this? That's because they hate Asian people.
Yeah.
I know I said this already. I'm just so, my mind is so blown by this whole thing.
Well, now what's going to happen, because they keep making shitty G.I. Joe movies. And every G.I. The least shitty G.I. Joe movie was actually the second one. Unfortunately, they had to kill the entire cast of the first one off to make the second one.
Mm-hmm. So they can put The Rock in it and then have Lady J.
Yeah, and now, so then their next step after this disaster is to do a Lady J TV show. No, don't. She was not even, most people, you talk about G.I. Joe, who was the main woman on the team? Oh, Scarlet. Scarlet was.
Lady J was up there, but
she was up there, but
more than cover girl.
Oh
but,
god,
they
killed her. Killed her in the first movie, and I think they made her Australian.
Well, they probably killed her because that's problematic.
Yeah,
she's pretty.
She's cover girl, or maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe it's her.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So Snake Eyes bombed. Not a surprise. Looks like dog shit. Critics say it's dog shit. Fans say it's dog shit.
I'd rather see a Jinx show.
Jinx would actually make a damn good show.
I'd rather see that.
I would like to see him. No, you know what we do? We do a Rise of Cobra Commander show, and we basically follow Cobra Commander from being a problematic youth to rising up.
Can't do that. It's about a dude.
I know. I was gonna say well, you can get.
You can do a Baroness show.
Well,
which I'd probably watch a Baroness show.
That was basically the first movie, was the Baroness movie. Even though what
the hell they do to Baroness? It was nanobots controlling her mind.
Girlfriend, nanobots, everything. The first movie is everybody had nanobots. There's no actual Cobra troopers that follow the. Think about it, Hollywood. in this climate, if you had a toxic, entitled white male, because in the comics, Cobra Commander was actually like a car salesman who just happened to be very, very charismatic, and he attracted a bunch of followers and got some money, whatever. So imagine having this toxic white loser rising up to become the most feared, powerful person in the world.
That's the problem. We don't want the white men to be feared.
But then G.I. Joe
It's about being in power.
G.I. Joe has to kick his ass.
Well, then suddenly, yeah, okay, that's great. Except Duke's going to be some, I don't know, those will find, it's going to be a woman. It's going to be an overweight, probably non-white woman.
Oh, they did that. And not with Duke, but in the I think it was, I want to say it was Heavy Duty or Salvo or somebody. Well, in the IDW comics, they made one of the Joes, this like...
And her girlfriend.
Really overweight Butch Samoan with like a rocket launcher or something. It was like...
Yeah, it's going to be something like that.
She's not going to be in the military.
Yeah, and her girlfriend coming together to take... And they're going to be insufferable assholes. And they're going to look like a dude, basically like a dude, and with girl hair. Half girl hair. Other half be shaved. There'll be undercut for sure involved.
Oh, it'd absolutely be.
And that would be their bright idea.
That should be your code name, Undercut.
Oh my god, they should make a character called Undercut. Oh my god.
I was watching Community, which damn good show. They had the G.I. Joe episode of Community.
That was really good,
and,
actually.
Britta, who's woke and obnoxious, they called her character Buzzkill.
I remember that.
Buzzkill.
That was a good episode.
Because every time somebody would say something, she'd be like, that's problematic, So yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't think we're gonna get any. I don't think there's any way to get good GI Joe current year. It's. I'm surprised they're still making the toys. I know for the longest time, Hasbro wasn't making any GI Joe toys. If you went to GIJoe.com, there was nothing. They didn't have any like retro figures or anything. There was nothing. And I can totally see this franchise going dormant again until they're allowed to make shows and movies like this again.
They're not going to, because they're allowed to now as long as they change everything. It's perfect as long as you change everything about it.
That's right. We're going to wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys, and we will talk later.
Bye.